Rich Eisen and Kenny Smith, guest star on tonight's episode of The Odd Couple, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS, America's most watched network. And here in the Rich Eisen Show studio is my co-star, my cameo co-star, Kenny Smith. How are you, Kenny?
Man, great, man. Great to be here.
That was fun, right? Doing The Odd Couple?
That was a bucket list.
Right?
A bucket list that I didn't know was a bucket list.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, because I didn't know the show would ever come back.
Who knew? I didn't think.
So
with
now,
Matthew
if the
Perry.
Honeymooners come back on, I got to be on the Honeymooners.
That's true, because that was again back to back on WPIX in New York.
Yeah, my favorite two shows.
How old are you? You're
50.
You're 50. I'm 40.
50.
I'm 45. So we're right around the same.
In there. Right in there.
Right? Because it was always The Odd Couple with Tony Randall and Jack Klugman.
No question.
And then the Honeymooners after that.
That was it.
That's what I watched every night.
That was my late night team. And then I went to bed. That was it. That was it. The night's over.
Right.
Get ready for school.
And then one day Dean Smith knocks on your door.
And he says, "Hey, come down to Carolina and see if you can help our teams win some basketball games."
Pretty much, right?
Yeah.
He found you. Where did he find you in Queens? When did you first hear from Dean Smith?
My first time, actually, what I heard, the story, my high school coach, the late, great Jack Curran, he gets a call my junior year. And he said, Coach Smith called and said, "Hey, you got any players? Or are there players in the New York areas?" Because they were friends. He said, "No, there's no players up here that could play at your university." And so my senior year, he calls him back again. He says, "Oh, any players up there I need to watch?" He said, "Yeah, I got one in my school." He's like, "Wait a minute. How do you have one in your school? Last year you told me you had none." He said, "It transfers?" No, he was here last year, but I've never seen a kid improve that much from his junior year to his senior year ever. I went from being like honorable mention All City, which is like 100 people,
right,
to being third team All-American in 7 months.
Really? Yeah. That's a growth spurt, Kenny.
Yeah, it was my skill level, and then I grew about 2 inches, only like 2 inches, but my skill level, I went from like a 6-foot point guard to a 6'2.5" point guard, and my skill level met my athleticism at the same time. So in 7 months, I just kind of blew up on the scene.
And so Dean Smith, did he come to your living room? Did you?
Came to the living room in golf pants. Left Rack City, Queens. Imagine this. Left Rack City, Queens. You know, it's not the worst of neighborhoods, but it's not the best either. So he comes in with some golf pants on, which I'd never seen.
Were they checkered pants?
They were that, what's the designer? Oh, my God, I can't think of it now. But that Argyle look, Dean Smith pants. And it was pretty interesting, you know. But the one thing he said to me, you know, we were talking about a lot of people promising playing time. He said, "I don't promise playing time, Kenny. I just play the best 5 players."
And who were the other players that you were?
A guy named Jordan.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. He sucked at baseball, but he was there. Sam Perkins, you know, Brad Doherty, and that's when I said, and I went there, and I watched them practice, and I said, I can't play here. That's what made me go there, because they were too good, I thought. And I said, if I could play here, then I've made it. I know in my mind, and I wound up starting as a freshman. At that time, that was big.
Yeah, that just doesn't
I was
happen.
only the 4th freshman ever in the school history to start. But that was the reason I went there. I didn't think I could play there.
And how did he help you grow into the person that's sitting here, right here on the set today?
Life lessons, man. You know, most coaches kind of take life and move it into basketball.
Yeah.
Or basketball into life. He kind of just said, this is life. Like, everything about it. There's a continuation. From when you leave the court to now, it's a continuation. And the lifelong lessons, like we had these things called thoughts of the day.
Okay.
So we'd have the practice plan up and a thought of the day. So it'd be like defensive emphasis is help out on defense on the weak side. Thought of the day, never walk in a man's never talk about a man unless you walked in his moccasins for 2 moons. I still remember those silly quotes like that to kind of like, you know, change your life thought process that there was more than basketball.
And then basketball happens for you, and Dean Smith, a $200 check arrives at home from Dean Smith.
Yeah.
What's this story about? What's this
about?
Well,
you know, when he passed away, in his will, he left $200 to each letterman. And, you know, we always thought he was next level and one of a kind, and he still proved that in his passing. That he's still thinking about us when he's passing. Like, and you think about that, to me, it was just a gesture to say he appreciated us. And that's what he was. Because I always say if you close your eyes and watched our practice, you couldn't tell who were the best players by what he said. Only by watching you could tell who the best players were.
What does that mean?
He was fair, he was honest, and he was the same with everyone. There was no favoritism.
Not even Jordan?
Zero. You could not tell by what he said.
He got on Jordan?
Oh, my God. He got on everyone. But it's the same way. He didn't get on me differently than he got on Michael, or didn't get on Michael for someone else for what he did. That's what made him great. I mean, my parents didn't treat me, my brothers and sisters, the same way. So to treat 12 guys individually with all high expectations the same, it was unbelievable.
Kenny Smith here on The Rich Eisen Show. I want to take a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about what's going on in the NBA.
Cool.
And a little bit of your reality show that's on TV.
Yeah, Meet the Smiths, baby.
Where's the cameras here? I thought the cameras
This is it, man. This is the cameras.
Just our
man.
cameras.
Yeah,
That's
man.
it.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
gonna take this footage.
Okay, well, absolutely. You may have it. Kenny Smith is here in studio before he probably spends the next month and a half of his life in Atlanta with the TNT coverage of the NBA playoffs that will begin this very weekend. 60 seconds. When we come back, more with Kenny the Jet Smith, and maybe we'll take some phone calls for Kenny at 844-204-RICH. Don't go anywhere. Back with more in a moment. I have TNT's Kenny the Jet Smith of the perennial Emmy Award-winning Inside the NBA right here on the Rich Eisen Show studio. How much of a chance do you give the Pelicans against the Warriors, Kenny?
Not much. I think there's a reason why they're the 8th seed and they've been inconsistent. They have great talent, young talent, but their inability to be consistent has probably been the difference. Anthony Davis might have dominant games, but I can't see Golden State losing that series.
So which is the team that can give the Warriors the toughest time if they?
Well, after the first
encounter
round, and it's all bets off.
Okay.
You know, all bets off. The one thing the Warriors don't have is they haven't been deep into the playoffs as a unit, but they've taken some bumps. Obviously, with Mark Jackson last year, they've got to the playoffs and they took some bumps. So this is still the same team. So this is kind of like, you know, let's make that next step. And they did it in the regular season. So I think it's going to be real difficult for the Pelicans to stay at bay. But after that, all bets off.
All bets are off. I'm here with Kenny Smith here in the Rich Eisen Show studio. And then, so the Clippers take on the Spurs due to this sort of cockamamie seeding system that the NBA has employed this year, where teams with better records with worse records finish higher because of a division win that doesn't give them home court advantage anyway in the first round.
Right.
So the Spurs are the ones now that the Clippers have to face. What do you see happening in that first round series?
That's Spurs Clippers. You know, everything that the Clippers represent, the Spurs don't. Everything and vice versa. So all of your shortcomings and all of your things that you can't do is exposed against the Spurs. And the one thing, all of the dunks and lobs, you won't see many of those. And the Clippers are great at. So to me, this is what will be, will you break up the Clippers as we know them if they lose this round?
So it's not just a 2014-2015 thing. They're playing for their ability to stay together as a team.
Yeah. DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, and Chris Paul. Is that the three? If they lose in the first round this year, you have to really think about saying that that's not the three. And you have to do something differently.
There's a lot at stake there then.
Yeah, a lot of stake. Where the Spurs, if they lose in the first round, say, well, the run is over. We had a great run. We just now we need to reevaluate that, you know, which is an expectation anyway. They might have to reevaluate it even if they won the championship. But the Clippers is, you know, this is the third year. It's kind of done.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.